Yes.
I always
Clement
got
of
the Clements
Rome.
confused.
So,
Okay.
where does Clement of Rome mention Paul?
Mentioned him in 97 AD in one of his epistles.
Okay. And how do we know that Clement wrote that? It doesn't mention Clement.
How do we know that Clement wrote that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, why are you making the leap? Why are you making the leap? That
Well, I mean, you said Clement wrote it. How did you determine he wrote it? It doesn't mention Clement. Not once. In fact, the only reason that it's even dated to the mid-90s is because of the fact that it says recent tragedies and hindrances that have befallen us. And that is taken to mean the persecution that the Christians claimed that they got under Emperor Domitian in the mid-90s. But unfortunately, there's no evidence that they ever got persecuted by the Emperor Domitian there in the 90s. In fact, there's evidence to suggest that it was just the Jews that got persecuted under Domitian, which is why multiple scholars in the 20th century pointed out, yeah, this is just some kind of later lie that the Christians came up with. They're just kind of adopting what the Jews went through and saying that they went through it as well. There's no evidence that Domitian did anything to the Christians.
Okay.
Yep. So, that being said, we could also say that if Clement wrote that, that's fine, but the Muratorian canon says that the Shepherd of Hermas, which is a book that comes out in the middle of the 2nd century, was written by the brother of Pope Pius, who was Pope in the middle of the 2nd century. So the Shepherd of Hermas must be a mid-2nd century book. Not a problem, but in that text, the author says he tasked Clement with delivering a letter for him. So apparently Clement is alive in the middle of the 2nd century, which would place Clement in the middle of the 2nd century after Paul is first introduced by Marcion in 144. Paul, by the way, is not even a first name. It's a diminutive. It means the small one. In fact, in Acts 13, where Shaul starts going by Paul, it mentions in the verse before that, Sergius Paulus, which means the little Sergio, because Paulus is a diminutive. It just means the small one. It's not a name. It's not like a first name. We don't have any evidence of it being used as a first name prior to the 2nd century by the Christians. We don't have any letters going back to Paul. We don't have any early drafts of his letters. No one mentions Paul outside of Christianity. No one mentions him inside Christianity until the 2nd century. No one says they only have one letter of his. They always say they have a collection because that's just a trope back then.